Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Mecha Rewatch. I'm Cossak11, and with me, as always, is my co-host Lawndragon.
Hi.
And we're going to be going over episodes 32 and 33 of Gundam Wing today. Yeah. And these are a pair of pretty good episodes.
You would be forgiven at the end of the previous episode for thinking that we were, in the home stretch now. Right? Because it kind of feels like, oh, the good guys have gotten together, the bad guys have gotten together, we know our sides, and we're just going to fight about it. No, we're not even close. No. Nope.
There is much to go. There is much still yet to be done.
It's not just like, oh, okay, the two established sides are now in conflict. No.
Right, yeah, because in most anime, and even most Gundam series, this is pretty much right around where it's like, okay, the sides are set.
Yeah.
This is all going to be like the final campaign here.
Right, the stage is set, the curtain rises on Act 4, and we have, the climactic clash of ideology.
Yeah, which...
No.
Yeah, we're
getting there, but it's not yet.
Yeah, in a series like this from the 90s, that's what you would expect from the last 20 episodes. Is like,
right, and no.
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 Not even close.
Nope.
Nope, we're still unwrapping the layers of this onion.
Yeah.
But we start with an opening blurb.
We do.
I think it's the same opening blurb. I don't think we've switched opening blurbs.
No, we haven't. Because we should soon, because it's starting to feel dated.
Yeah.
It's starting to feel like, that's from a long time ago. We've moved on from that blurb.
Well, not only that, we've had two different narrator exposition blurbs that happen after the opening blurb.
Yes.
Early in the episode. We have two in a row that mention the same thing and say the same exact thing.
Yeah.
I guess, but then you remember this is a televised show.
You have to be remembered. Yeah, you have to be reminded, if you're watching it week to week, what happened last week. You have to be reminded of the plot. I think clearly they were also, thinking about serialization.
Mm-hmm.
Right? What happens when you do just watch one of these episodes by itself?
Yeah.
You need to know where you are in the series and what's going on.
Correct. We get the first mention of E-War.
Sure do.
Because, notably, the new Death Scythe is hitting Oz convoys.
It sure is.
Duo is out there hitting Oz convoys, and it's, I presume, from what the brief amount of discussion between him and Hildy, because he's shacking up with Hildy now, and their, junkyard chalet.
Yeah.
It seems that Hildy is using her, former Oz access to pinpoint convoys.
Yes.
For Duo to hit.
And Duo's hitting convoys to, try to finish Death Scythe.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's doing it with purpose, because he's doing it for getting salvage parts to...
Yeah, and it's not even that he's, taking the parts from the convoys to finish Death Scythe. He's trading these parts to people for stuff he, actually needs. I think.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like to me.
Yeah, that seems to be the concept.
Yeah, we get the first mention of E-War, because the convoy, when he's hitting them, is
oh, all our,
Well, they literally say, it's ECM! It's ECM!
Yeah, they...
And then they get killed.
Yeah, well, they're it's ECM jamming, and it's really strong, and they all die. Which, Death Scythe has done before. They just haven't talked about it.
Right.
Because those guys that attacked underwater had a similar problem of, oh, we can't communicate with the guys we were talking to.
Yeah, this is the first time they've outright mentioned E-War. It's been there, it's just not...
Death Scythe has always exuded, I'm gonna kill you, no one's ever gonna hear from you, aura.
It's the Death Scythe brand.
It's the stealth mech, and it's not stealth it turns invisible. It's stealth I attack this group of people, and they don't get to shout for help.
Yeah, I quickly... I'm invisible because anyone who sees me dies.
Yeah.
So yeah, we get a new Death Scythe drop, which is always nice to see. We get a brief explanation of Operation Nova, which is Roma Feller's plan to drop.
This has been a thing for a while. They're going to drop all of their mobile dolls are going to come to Earth, and they're going to resolve all disputes. I assume as judges wandering the land.
Yeah.
It's a weird way to phrase that. You have skipped.
Oh, what did I skip?
Duo going to WrestleMania.
Oh, right. Yeah. Because notably, after he destroys the last, like, mech in this convoy...
while he's destroying them.
Well, while he's destroying the last mech in this convoy, he shouts, "The god of death is back again," or whatever.
Yeah, it sounds like he is about to cut a wrestling promo on them.
He cuts, like, the first, like...
line,
like quarter or line of a wrestling promo. You expect him to continue launching into how he's gonna like find Trey's and like challenge him to for his title belt at Mecha Mania.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, Gundam Mania. And point at like a sign that appears out of nowhere.
Yeah, he needs to explain that, you know, one Death Scythe versus infinite mobile dolls spells disaster for you at SummerSlam.
Right.
It really sounds like he's about to cut a wrestling promo.
He really, it sounds like he's going to challenge Tuberov to a Hell in a Cell match.
Yeah, it sure does. Which Tuberov would presumably, I don't know, run away from.
Yeah, or he's going to challenge like to No Holds Barred match.
Yeah, we're gonna have a what do they call them now? Like Street Fight or whatever, where anything's they just pull out a mech.
Yeah, he challenges the entire like Oz command staff to a gauntlet match.
Yeah,
wrestling.
This is not a wrestling podcast, unfortunately.
No, it isn't. Unfortunately.
Yeah,
he cuts his wrestling promo. Presumably, the rest of it he cuts off screen.
It's just off screen. Yeah. It's
and then he goes to his junkyard chalet where we think at first it looks like it's the other guy's junkyard because he goes. Yeah, he comes there in a semi with.
He comes there in a truck with like stuff on the back.
Yeah,
and is like, "Yeah, I got you all these Oz parts. Thanks for like whatever it is this guy has done for him."
Yeah. And the guy's like...
The guy hands him an invoice.
Yeah, and then he takes the invoice, and the guy's like...
And then the guy hops in the truck and drives away with the stuff.
And then Duo's... Because he says, like, your stuff's out front or whatever.
Yeah.
And then Duo's like... I didn't even get a chance to pay him. And I'm like, wait a minute, dude, that wasn't...
It wasn't the truck the payment? It's unclear.
Unclear. Maybe he was supposed to give him a cash payment in addition...
Maybe, or I think we may just be missing something in translation. I think it may just be a poorly translated scene.
It's distinctly possible. That does crop up in this anime a non-zero amount of times.
Sure does.
And before he can get too comfortable in his like picking through junk, we cut to Trant. You remember Trant?
Anybody remember Trent? No, that's okay.
He's the guy who
you had to remember Hildy this episode too. She hasn't been around for a while.
Yeah, you have to remember Hildy.
Honestly, you'd be forgiven for having forgotten Duo exists.
He hasn't been around for a while either.
This show has a real problem with that character, and not for like Hildy's a minor character. That's whatever.
Yeah, and Trent's a minor character.
When's the last time we saw Wu Fei? He's one of the 5 characters on the cover.
And we have not seen him.
Troa can be forgiven because he's supposed to be dead.
Yeah.
But Wu Fei is just around, but has not been in the show. But so Trent, that guy.
Yeah.
Y'all remember Trent. Everyone's favorite character. Trent.
Yeah, Trent. Because if you'll recall, bring your minds back to when Hiro last piloted Wing Zero.
Yes.
Not the Gundam Wing, which is what his original mobile suit is, but Wing Zero. The reason he was piloting it, if you will recall, was there was this crazy Oz scientist who's like, this is the future of mobile suit developments. This will be a weapon to surpass Metal Gear.
He's not even really a scientist. He's he's
not. I never... Did I say scientist? Yeah. I meant to say, like, engineer, because he is an engineer.
He's some kind of engineer.
He's like a military engineer researcher guy.
He just thinks it's a cool mech. You can just say he can just... It's
not even the mech.
I think the mech's cool.
It's not even the mech. He doesn't give a shit about the actual mech. It's the system in the mech that he cares about.
Sure.
This guy is
he's obsessed with the idea that it can defeat mobile dolls, which it can.
And thus he thinks it's the future of warfare and everyone should be using it.
Because he doesn't understand why the mobile dolls were created.
Well, because he consistently goes against Tuberov's orders.
Correct.
Because he has a fundamental misunderstanding of what Tuberov and the Romefeller Foundation want.
Correct. Because he's very, like... every time he interacts with Tuberov, he's like, this thing's so awesome, it could destroy mobile dolls. And Tuberov's like, yeah, so destroy it. Right?
Right. Cause,
it's a threat, not a thing to be studied.
Yeah, because he fully believes that the goal of their organization is to create a weapon to surpass Metal Gear.
Right, he just wants to make the best weapon. Tuberov doesn't want the best weapon, he wants the weapon he can control.
Correct. And that's,
which is smart in some ways.
Well, that's been the theming of the Romefeller Foundation in general.
Well, in general, the Romefeller Foundation are not smart people.
Also
But in this case, that's the intelligent... The weapon you can control is the better weapon, generally speaking.
Yes. Because we see Trent... Because Tuberov... We started with Tuberov in his, like, control room and being like, where's Trant?
Yeah.
And someone's like, oh, he was off doing something or other. And then we see Trant, who is running a simulation in the Wing Zero. And
he's having a bit of a sparring match with some mobile dolls.
Well, he's not even... It's unclear if he's actually even fighting those mobile dolls, because he as we turns out, large portion of what we see in that scene is a hallucination.
Yeah, but at the start, he's legitimately having a fight with them.
That's fair.
Which, I mean, as far as training things go, mobile dolls are pretty great for that. You can just destroy them. Nobody cares.
Yeah. I mean, you already got, like, the mass production facility for them. You can shoot them all you want.
Right, because apparently they're not expensive. That's been an unclear part of the where do the resources for... Apparently space just has infinite mech production.
Well, if you
resources.
recall, they did manage to take control of Ketra's home colony that is full of those resource satellites.
Yeah,
that
whatever,
his dad owned.
whatever space resource it is that lets us.
Yeah.
Gundanium, I assume.
It's not Gundanium, but he gets the fight. Well, maybe that's part of also why Tuberov is angry with this guy, is he's running up their operating costs by destroying
mobile dolls. Yeah, probably.
Like, yeah, that's a legit problem.
Those mobile dolls could be being sent to Earth to resolve disputes between sheep farmers.
Resolve disputes. Such a fucking annoyingly
Again, the picture I get is that all of the mobile dolls will wander the Earth as judges, like coming across random people with problems and solving it.
That's the image that the statement invokes, but we all know
that's not what's happening. No. They are going to resolve all disputes by killing everyone. Like,
well, but also they're not, when they say dispute, they don't mean dispute like what we mean.
No, they mean
what normal human beings mean is dispute.
They mean we will end all wars by shooting everyone involved. Like,
essentially, and then, hold the world in the glove of our
right. We'll hold the world hostage, like at gunpoint, right?
With our mobile
That's why there will be no disputes.
Tuberov sends some guys out to figure out what the hell Trant's up to.
Yeah,
and Trant is has his vision quest.
Yeah,
sees a vision of himself dying.
So this episode is interesting because it repeatedly shows us things happening and then sort of snaps back and is like, nah, it's a hallucination. The pilot was happening.
Yeah, does this a couple times.
Yeah, and it's good.
It's good.
It's much less unclear than Lady Young talking to herself.
Yeah, well, and also, you mentioned this, and I think it should be brought up, is that it actually seems pretty clear that Trant is actually being controlled and led on by the Zero system.
Yes, the Zero system seems to actually have an intent.
And that intent is to find a Gundam pilot that can control it.
Right. It wants to be piloted by someone who can actually successfully pilot it, whose mind won't melt. And yeah, it drives him to seek out a Gundam pilot, basically.
And so he goes and finds Duo, because apparently Duo is just in the yellow pages and can be found by anybody.
It is unclear how he finds Duo. He just shows up and then points the Buster Cannon at Duo. Not at Deathscythe, at Duo, who is just standing on the ground. And Duo even says, do it. You know how powerful that gun is. You'll destroy the whole colony if you shoot me with it.
And the guy just goes, I don't care.
Yeah, and Duo's like, oh,
this guy is crazy.
That's a problem.
Duo's like, all right, I can't have a colony getting destroyed because of me, so who do I look like, Ketra or Burma Winner?
Who do I look like, Ketra?
Yeah, so I guess I'm gonna get into this mobile suit and do this thing.
Yeah. I mean, how bad could it be? He just needs me to pilot a mobile suit. Whatever.
Well, and Trent in this scenario also, because he mentions, like, if you try anything funny, the mobile dolls are set to switch their target to the colony itself. And I'm like, Trent, you've been testing and messing with this system for presumably a few months now, at least.
Yeah.
You know how it works, and you know that if you state that, you are going to be his first target the moment he boots that system up.
Well, you're going to be his first target. Also, this system has shown that it can stop mobile dolls from doing things. So, if they target the colony, they will be stopped. That's not that much of a threat. Also, it's unclear that mobile dolls are capable of destroying a colony. Like,
well, they
have those big guns.
They do have the weaponry capable of doing so. They just haven't been used in that aspect, because why use your killing machine?
So the reason I say that I'm not sure they can is that they tried to destroy that other big space station, and they didn't just have the mobile dolls shoot it. They, in fact, specifically had plenty of opportunity to just order the mobile dolls to shoot it, and they didn't. They had to fire the giant beam cannon.
That was before they had mass implementation, though, of the mobile dolls. And that was before they... Remember, that was before they had the Virgos.
Yeah, it is before they had the Virgo guns. I still just... I don't know. I'm not... The man, at the very least, it would cause mass death. If it would, even if it wouldn't destroy.
Well, I don't even know if I don't know if he said destroy the colony. I think it's just he's
like, just start shooting people. It'll be a problem.
Either way, undesirable outcome for Duo. So Duo is like, fine,
I'll do this thing.
He runs the combat simulation, also has a mental break, and goes on a vision quest.
It's a very cool vision quest. He sees himself defeating all these mobile dolls. And then the last mobile doll, he fires the Buster Cannon, and it, destroys the mobile doll, but goes through it and hits the colony and destroys the colony.
Yeah.
Including killing Hildy.
And notably, Duo is, in this moment, his expression is,
Yeah, he suddenly becomes very, terrifying.
Yeah.
In a way that hyper-excited murdering you Duo isn't terrifying, it's just kind of fun. This Duo is actually scary.
Yeah, this is
because his eyes just go dead and he murders.
And he's silent, because Duo's not that quiet of a guy, especially when he's fighting.
Right.
We're talking about the guy who just, 10 minutes ago cut a wrestling promo.
Basically. Yeah. But yeah, it's a thing. And as I remarked at the time, because it's then obviously it cuts back. This is a hallucination. He actually stabbed the thing to death, right? But it's like, man, that almost would have been a better plot beat if that had actually just happened.
Unfortunately, it didn't.
Nope, just a hallucination.
Yeah.
And Duo is kind of like, this space war is fucked. This system, no one should use this. It's bad. It's telling you it's bad.
Duo comes to the same realization that literally every other Gundam pilot who has used that system and come out the other side of it.
This system is dangerous. Yeah. Don't use it. And interestingly, not... Because the other two, the problem was that it caused them to attack people they didn't really want to attack. Mm-hmm. Duo doesn't even do that to him. The thing that it, quote unquote, does to him, the thing that he sees in the vision, is just that he'll cause collateral damage.
Yeah,
that it doesn't care about who it kills in the pursuit of victory. Mm-hmm. Right.
Right, and I think the funniest...
Versus what Trent sees in his vision is that he'll die. Mm-hmm. Which is also interesting.
And he sees it...
Trent just sees that he'll lose.
Yeah. The funniest part about it, because Duo snaps back to reality.
Yeah.
And Trent's just leaning over the front console, and he's like, crazy shit, right? He just gave him, a bit of, LSD.
How's that salvia, bro?
Yeah.
It's very weird.
Duo's like, this is, terrifying, and we need to not use this. And Trent's like, no, it's the future, and I'm absolutely going to use it.
Right, and then Tuberov's guys show up, and are like, stop that.
Trent's like, I will deal with these meddlers myself.
Yeah. Kicks Duo out of the cockpit, just throws him to space. With a spacesuit on. He's not.
Yeah.
That
because he wants to recover his Gundam pilot later for further testing.
Presumed. And then goes off to fight the dudes.
Hildy shows up in a carrier,
in a little cargo tug or whatever.
Yeah, and is like, "Yo, Duo, I'm here too.
I exist."
And Duo's like, "Yeah, you sure do. Now get me to my death scythe. I have a fight to go fight."
Well, no, the carrier thing she brought has death scythe.
Yeah,
which is relevant because then he obviously. Trent kills all of Tuberov's guys, right? It's not even hard, and he's in Wing Zero.
And then Trent's he goes on a psychotic. He wants to go on a psychotic killing spree,
right? He's I want more.
He's on a power trip of an unprecedented scale.
Yeah, all of the lights in the sky are my enemy,
right?
To quote a different Mecha show. Yeah, and then he fights Death Scythe, and Death Scythe wins, not by defeating Wing Zero, because it probably can't.
No.
But he just fights him until Trant's mind melts.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't take that long for that to happen, right? Correct. All you have to do is, avoid the Buster Cannon long enough that the pilot just gets a nosebleed and dies. Basically. That's not quite what happens. He doesn't actually die, but
he sees a vision of himself dying.
Yes.
And that's enough to cause his mental snap.
Yeah. And then he just kind of gets hurled off into space, which seems irresponsible of Duo to just be like, well, it's not my problem anymore. Goodbye.
Yeah. There's a lot of that in this show.
Yeah, space is large. I'm sure he won't... the chances of him ever being found or... The chances of this system ever being found or recovered by anyone are so small, I'm sure it's totally fine. Yeah. No. This is not the last we will see of the Zero system.
No.
Obviously.
And that is episode 32. It's a very tight, concise episode.
It is, and it's nice.
Yeah, it's good.
Good episode.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the other thing that has sort of come up with the Zero system, is that there's this fun parallel between the Zero system and the mobile dolls, because they both have problems with target recognition.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, is it's very subtle and not ever mentioned as much as it probably should be.
No one ever really just talks about it.
Which is that the Zero system and the mobile dolls are basically two sides of the same coin.
Right. One is trying to enhance a human, the other is just trying to avoid a human, but they both come to the same point.
They're both different approaches to the same end, which is to create their version of their creator's version of all-encompassing weapon of war.
Yeah, it's partially that. It's also partially just, this show's stance is fundamentally AI bad, and the Zero system is kind of because the mobile dolls, it's easy. They kill everyone, AI bad, right? The Zero system, because usually the counter to that is, well, but AI being guided or AI enhancing a human's actions has much less of the problems of fully automated AI, and their Zero system is like, no, this is still bad. AI bad.
Right.
I fundamentally disagree with the show on this point, but this is where the show is taking us.
Right.
Don't design your AIs that
later
poorly.
Gundam shows will disagree with this.
That's true. But this show takes the firm stance, AI bad.
Well, it's the 90s.
That's true. It is the 90s.
The Terminator movies came out not too far from this.
No, there's definitely a distinct AI phobia. That persists to this day among some people, right? Because media is Terminator and iRobot. I'm sure you can think of 1,000 different pieces of media where AI tries to kill or enslave. I have no mouth and I must scream.
System Shock 2.
Sure. Yeah, and it's just yep. Again, this is on a podcast where we're going to get into the merits of AI, but this show does have a stance on it.
Yes. So, episode 33.
Yeah, another solid one. Back to Earth.
Yeah.
We are now alternating episodes between space and Earth.
Yep.
Well, there's a little bit of space in this episode, too.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's much cleaner than what's happened previously in this show. It's much nicer to... Alternating episodes in setting is much cleaner than it jumping back and forth 800 times in one episode.
Yes. I much appreciate the change in overall format of episodes to make it more coherent.
Much more coherent.
Because, if this had been one of the early episodes, all of these scenes between that we were about to mention in 33 and all the ones we just mentioned in 32 would have all been jumbled and shuffled together between the two episodes.
Yes.
And it would have made absolutely
it would have been so
coherent
confusing.
sense. Yeah. So, in episode 33, we start at a mansion where Ketra is playing some very sad piano.
Yeah. Sad piano, literal sad piano music.
Like literal, actual
sad piano music.
And Noin compliments him on his skill with the piano.
Slow claps, in fact.
Yeah. And then tries to console Ketra about what happened to Troa, effectively.
I'm not... Is she even aware of what happened to Troa? She just knows that Ketra's sad about fighting.
That's fair.
This scene could do with both of the characters being a little more explicit about what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, her... Because she sort of comes in and is like, oh yeah, it's war, things are unavoidable, people die. And honestly, an angry backlash from Ketra of, no, I'm an idiot who killed my own friend, is kind of what's required for this scene. He doesn't say that explicitly. He's much more subtle about it, and I think it hurts the scene.
Actually, I think Noin might know about Troa.
I think she knows Troa's dead. I just don't know
No. Well, because they're still looking for Troa.
Yes,
that was the whole thing
correct.
Relena said, is that they're looking for Troa.
Yeah.
So
she doesn't seem to come into this in the, like...
No, she
Ketra killed Troa.
No, you're
way.
Right. Yeah. Well, and to be fair, Ketra has been expressing doubts about fighting for some time now.
True. Which is an interesting reversal of character, because him and his dad were the opposite.
Yeah. Well, and we see that
we have to fight.
Well, and now that he's processed like the grief over his father dying to some extent, maybe not all the way, but he's certainly made a lot of progress on that front. He is starting to realize some of the merits of what his dad was saying.
Yeah.
What is how I choose to interpret that. It's not really stated in the
It's
show.
not stated at all, but it makes sense.
And then they talk geopolitics.
They sure do. The weakest portions of the show.
Yeah.
By far.
So, this brings us to the Saint Kingdom, notably.
And why they matter, and what the hell is going on.
So, from what we could gather, the closest anyone can figure, the Saint Kingdom is basically
in Denmark.
Is either a chunk of Denmark that broke off and formed its own peace kingdom, or is just what they call Denmark.
It's just what they call Denmark now, because I don't think Denmark's ever mentioned.
Yeah.
But, at the same time, geopolitically, the only thing that makes sense is if they're like Switzerland. Because, we've mentioned this repeatedly in the show. And it comes up again this episode. It's a very major plot point. That Romefeller negotiates with the Saint Kingdom and, hears them out, and how they feel about things matters, even before they had a military.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way that makes sense is if they're holding everyone's offshore bank accounts.
Yeah.
Right? That's what makes... It never comes up in the show. It's never mentioned. But that's the tying thread that makes all of this make sense. Is if the Saint Kingdom has all the banks. Right?
And it would
some other thing to hold over everyone.
And it would make sense if that were the case, simply by virtue of the fact that, similar to Switzerland, the reason why all their banks managed to get as big as they did and be safe places for people to put their money is because they were always neutral and did not want to fight with it.
Right. If you take this stance of not getting involved, then it's safe to put your money there, and it's this feedback loop. Like this is like half the Swiss economy at this point.
Yeah.
Right.
It really is.
The other half being Nazi gold, which Relena, show us the gold. We know you have it. But that's the only thing that makes sense. Again, the show never brings this up. As far as we can tell, the Saint Kingdom just is peaceful and that just works.
Well, and what the show always tries to tell you, that in a very unconvincing fashion, is that their very policies of like total pacifism are the threat to the Rockefeller Foundation.
Right.
Which we have already seen is not the case.
Right, is not the case. The Rockefeller Foundation has guns. And
granted, yeah, they tried to like trump up a casus belli to do it with, but they've already tried to use those guns to take the Saint Kingdom. Yeah. And the only way the Saint Kingdom survived was bringing out bigger guns.
What the show is dancing around but never says, but what needs to be here to tie it all together, is that the Saint Kingdom wields soft power.
Yes.
Right? That's... Whenever they talk about, like, the policies of peace, what they mean is the deliberate and probably ruthless wielding of soft power.
Yeah.
Right? That's what they actually mean.
Right. Well, and I think that part of that boils down to is the show writers don't know the concept of soft versus hard power.
Right. They don't really get the idea. They're not poli-sci majors. They're showrunners.
They're on the edge of it, but they don't... That's not a concept that they are familiar with.
Right. They're on the edge of how that works, right? The magic peace powers, as we've wrestled them before, they're soft power. Soft power is what that is, right? It's being able to stand in front of a bunch of guys with guns and go, if you shoot me, all of your money goes away. Right.
You won't be able to... Sure, you can shoot me, but you won't ever be able to like have bullets for those guns to shoot anybody else ever again.
It's interesting. I think one of the best examples of this, actually, in a very militaristic thing, is in 300, when Leonidas is going to go talk to Darius, and they're like, what if he assassinates you? And he's just like, I hope they do. My whole country will go to war if they do that. That's a great thing. Please, let's pray they're that stupid. Right?
Yeah.
That's soft power.
Correct.
Frequently backed up by hard power. This is the thing. You can't be mono soft power or mono hard power. They're both really bad ideas.
So we then briefly cut to Hiroyui surfing the web, and then a literal brief scene of him like on a computer in front of his Gundam.
Yes.
And then we cut to another exposition thing on Operation Nova. It's basically the same as the last one.
Every time they explain Operation Nova, it's just reminding us what it is. It's send all the mobile dolls to Earth to shoot people.
Yeah.
Sorry, settle all disputes.
And then very smooth transition out of the exposition dump this time. Because it shows the transports going down and smoothly transitions into actual transports coming down.
It's nice.
And then those transports get blown up by tall geese.
Sure do.
Zex just rolls in and he's got the helmet back. He is Zex again.
He is Zex Marquis again. Yeah, we can presume that he's having a bit of a Lady On moment.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's an intentional parallel. It might be.
You know, I think it might be because it presents this kind of dichotomy between Zex and Lady On early on.
Yes.
As these two are Treize's closest confidants, essentially. But one is like this honorable warrior who is fighting for revenge, and the other one is fanatically loyal to him to the point where she will
is also like an underhanded assassin.
Yeah, and is also an underhanded assassin. It's that so yeah, it is kind of this, they're like mirror images of each other.
In a better written show, they would be direct foils for each other.
Yeah.
Like there would be metaphor and symbolism here. Instead it's just kind of like, that's weirdly similar to this other character.
Yeah, it's very muddled.
Yeah, it's very in a better written show, it would be like, you could write an entire thesis paper on how they're foils for each other.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Zex also has a space station. And Hawaiian shirt engineer is now in space.
Yeah, Howard or whatever.
Yeah, Howard. Yep, that's his name.
Yeah, he just, I don't know, moved the Outer Heaven to space, has a different space station, unclear.
And this thing's big. Like, this is a space station. It's
yeah. It's also presumably hidden. Who knows?
I don't fucking know.
Whatever. But so there's a conversation between him and Zex, where Zex talks about, he's like, can I bring... Well, they have a brief exchange of, like, you know, owing each other favors or whatever. And he's like, you don't owe me anything. So he's like, oh, well, can I bring the Tallgeese in for a tune-up?
And he's like,
I need my oil change.
Yeah, he's like, dude, you didn't take any damage.
Yeah, he's like, no, it's feeling a little sluggish.
He's like, oh, that's because you've gotten too good at piloting it.
Yeah, your reaction time is now faster than, like, the Tallgeese can act, which... Okay. I mean, yeah, I believe my reaction was, at the time, was, right, because the Tallgeese is the only one that hasn't had an upgrade yet.
That was exactly what you said, yes.
And it's true, it hasn't.
Then we cut from that.
I guess Heavy Arms hasn't had an upgrade yet, either.
That's true.
Because where is Heavy Arms?
Heavy Arms, I think the Magwanaut Corps might have it.
Still? Have we not seen Heavy Arms since the Magwanaut Corps got them out on the... Has it been that long since we saw Heavy Arms? That's like 20 episodes ago.
Yeah, we haven't seen Heavy Arms in a real fucking long time.
Heavy Arms has... No, because Heavy Arms was at the duel with Zex.
Yeah.
That's after the Magwanaut Corps thing.
Oh, no. I meant later on. Like, I think...
Okay.
Because we know that the Magwanaut Corps has the rebuilt Sandrock.
We can presume that they're rebuilding it. We know that they have Sandrock.
Well,
because they retrieved it from that...
Yeah.
That Ozbase.
Yeah.
That's the last we saw of them.
Yeah, actually, now I think about it, we haven't seen Heavy Arms since that duel.
Yeah, I don't think... Is it still in the Arctic?
It might be.
Is it still... It's just sitting there in the Arctic?
It very well might be. Well, no. We haven't seen it since the fight to get onto the shuttles. Because they all had their Gundams then.
You're right. They all had their Gundam there.
But he didn't take it with him either.
Did he not?
I don't think he did.
I kind of thought he did.
I don't know.
Maybe he's just floating in space somewhere.
Might be. The point is, we haven't seen Heavy Arms.
Yeah, the point is, where is Heavy Arms?
We don't know where Troa is. We don't know where Heavy Arms is.
Again, we have at least received a explanation for where Troa is. That explanation is dead. He's not. Obviously, he's on the freaking cover of the show. But the show is pretending that he is dead, right? But Heavy Arms just hasn't come up. Now, we haven't seen Wu Fei or Shenlong in a while either, but, like...
We don't miss them, so we don't care.
We don't care. Heavy Arms, it's been even longer since we saw Heavy Arms, and it just, yeah.
Yeah, so after that scene with Tallgeese, and we're going to have to figure out what to call Zex's space station.
I don't know.
Because it's not Outer Heaven. Outer Heaven wasn't in space.
That's true. Secret space stations are harder to come by in media, as it turns out.
Yeah, as it turns out.
You'd think there'd be more of those. That seems like a normal thing to have.
And I'm saving Asteroid M for a different space station that's going to show up later.
That's fair. No, I don't know.
We'll figure it out.
The only one I can think of is the Cylon Resurrection Hub.
Sure.
That doesn't make any sense.
No, that makes more sense for a later space station.
Yes, it does.
That's a different one than the one I'm
totally
thinking of.
Different one.
Yeah. So we'll figure it out. We'll workshop it. We'll come back to you at some point. We'll maybe have
secret
something.
Space station base for your mech. Just sounds like a thing that ought to be more common in media.
Yeah, you'd think that'd be more common in Gundam even.
Get on it, writers. Like.
Yeah.
I need secret space fortresses that rebel heroes operate out of. No, that's it. It's Yavin 4. Despite that being a moon, I don't care. We're calling it Zex's Yavin 4.
Yeah, Zex's Hoth
or Hoth or
whatever.
Wherever they did the Endor operation.
No. I got a better Star Wars one. It's not a space station, but it's I think it's about equivalent size to what this ship is.
Okay.
Which is the Errant Venture from the Star Wars Legends universe.
That's a deep cut, but okay.
Yeah, this is you. If you haven't read Star Wars Expanded Universe books at all, then you are not going to know what we are fucking talking about.
That's an extremely deep cut. But sure.
But I love the Errant Venture. So Zex's Errant Venture.
Okay. Sure.
I mean, it scans on a multitude of levels, even if you don't know what the reference is.
Sure, it does.
Anyhow, We cut to Tuberov and Duke Dermail. I believe that's the guy's name.
Yeah.
They're just hatching an evil plan.
I mean, they're hatching the evil plan they already have.
Well, yeah, they're discussing their evil plan.
They're rehashing their evil plan.
They're rehashing
making sure everybody's still on the same page.
Yeah.
We're still trying to take over the world? Yes, we are. All right. Great.
Yeah. They also mention during this Zex scene that they've been having problems with producing the Virgos.
Yes. Well, specifically, they mention that there's like it's very passive voice. Like, there have been disruptions in the supply convoys to the lunar base, and yeah, this guy comes in and is like, "Oh, one of our like convoys must have had an accident. We can't get a hold of them." And Tuberov immediately is like, "No, they didn't have an accident. They were destroyed. Come on, man. We literally have enemies fighting a guerrilla war against us."
I should also note that the convoy ship drivers absolutely taunt Fate and then promptly
sure do. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah,
at the beginning
they're like beginning their entry burn and they're like, everything is fine, like good thing this trip went great, I'm sure we're totally safe, and then they get killed.
Like, immediately.
Yes.
No hesitation on the show. No, like, bait and switch. Oh, no. They're gonna make it. No.
Just
as soon as those words exit that man's mouth, they have all been killed.
Yep.
Going back to the actual episode. Well, later in the episode where we were.
Yes.
Hiro and Relena are relaxing in a park. Well, Hiro is relaxing in a park.
Oh, this line is great. This is a great line.
And Relena asks him if she can
I sit here at this bench? Well, it's your country.
You could do what you want.
Yeah. Which is
that's a really good line.
If a girl who owned a country was flirting with me, I wish I was that cool. Like, yeah. That's a great line.
That is a very solid line. They're relaxing in a park.
There is one more thing, because after Dermail gets off the phone with Tuberov, he, like, looks out the window and grins evilly and is like, "It's time to burn it all down." Like,
well, yeah, he doesn't say those words exactly.
It's very close to that.
Yeah,
he's like, I think even eviler than Tuberov. Like, well, God, nobody is in on everybody's plan.
He has reached like almost Saturday morning cartoon levels.
Well, given that I originally watched this as a Saturday morning cartoon, yes, this is one of the shows where that comes from.
Yeah, Relena is very obviously flirting with Hiro.
She's flirting hard, and Hiro like doesn't get it, which is funny because she's like, "I see this fierce determination in your eyes,"
and Hiro's like, "The fuck?"
Hiro's like, he literally is like, "I'm normal." Like, what?
What are you on about?
What?
He has a look on his face that's like, what are you talking about?
He has a line too. He has a line where he's just totally confused. It's very funny.
Yeah.
Because she has more than that. Mm-hmm. She's like, "Why did you stay in my kingdom previously? You would have just gone off to fight. You would have left." And then she has a thing about like, "Oh, you went up to space and your homeland like
kicked you out."
Yeah. And now you've like stayed here with me, and I see this fierce determination in your eyes, and it in any other show they would kiss after that line, but they don't, because Hiro's confused and it's better that way.
Yeah.
Like,
well, especially because it makes sense for Hiro to be confused.
Yeah, he doesn't
people very well.
He doesn't people very well. Also, romance is the furthest thing from that boy's mind.
Yeah, he's still fighting like 18 different permutations of a shadow war in his mind right now.
Yeah, he is. And also, like, she always shows up and talks to him in her, like, red school uniform, and her, like, queen of the country uniform is way cooler, and he hasn't seen her in it yet.
He will, though.
He will eventually.
Very shortly.
Yes. And notably, he seems a lot more into her when he does.
Which is fair.
It's a cool uniform.
It is.
Noin's is even better, but both of them have these, like, awesome...
Yeah. Anyway.
They have these awesome dress uniform, like, the only thing they're missing is they don't include a saber, presumably because they're from Peace Kingdom.
Yeah. It's a very like ornate, like Napoleonic era dress uniform. Like
it's like space Napoleon.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's not just this like.
It's like, God, what's the name of the empire in Legend of the Galactic Heroes?
Yes, that's what it reminds me of.
It's like their uniforms.
Yeah.
I don't remember the name of the empire.
I don't either.
But it's the Empire, because there's the Empire and then there's like the...
Yeah, but it's like if I was designing like a cool dress uniform for a like space future military / government, this is what they would look like, because they're so cool. Like...
Yeah. And like we said, it ages Relena up by like...
It ages Relena up by like a decade, which is also funny. Because again, she goes from looking like a schoolgirl in a school uniform, which is very anime,
to looking like
like the queen of a country,
the sovereign of a nation.
Yeah.
Dorothy interrupts them.
Sure
and I'm
does.
shocked that in any other anime, Relena would be mad.
If Relena was not so committed to total pacifism, she'd have slapped that bitch.
Because she just comes in and is like, I'm interrupting to like smarm evilly and give you this ominous invitation from the Romefeller Foundation.
Because I had forgotten this, and I thought at first that it was an invitation for Hiro Yui, and I was gonna be like, oh, he doesn't react well to invitations.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Because I also forgot about this episode and thought it was gonna be an invitation for Hiro.
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh God.
I hope he rips it up. I hope he does.
Yeah. Like, just pulls and then Relena's just like, yeah, he did that to me too. Yeah. That would be also, like, that'd be a good alternate take to this scene.
But no, it's an invitation for Relena to come negotiate with it's with Oz, technically, I think.
Well, because notably, the statement that Dorothy makes to Relena is that the, like, reason that they want her to meet with them is they are winning these conflicts that they've been sending their mobile dolls down for. These wars are slowly being stamped out, and ostensibly as the peace specialists, they want her to advise them on what their next move should be.
Right? How they're basically like, you're so peaceful. How do we maintain, like, authoritarian peace with our guns? That's how peace works, right? That's how we think peace works.
Yeah.
Right.
In reality, that's not what they're asking.
That's not what they're actually asking, but that's the premise. And that premise would almost work. You know.
Mm-hmm. So Relena gets all dolled up.
Yeah, gets her cool, and so does Noin, because Noin's gonna go with her.
Except Noin doesn't go with her because Noin's like, "Are you sure you don't want me to go with you?"
Well, so Dorothy's car shows up and is like, "I will be escorting you to the meeting," and Relena's like, "Oh, okay."
Noin has this look.
Noin's like, "Are you sure you don't want me to go with you?"
This is like, guys,
this smells like fuck.
This smells like a trap.
Yeah.
And then Ketra is up, and because Relena looks up at Ketra and Hiro, and she goes, "Hiro, let me know before you leave."
Yeah.
She knows he's gonna leave.
Right, but you have to shoot me an email first.
Yeah. Like, just send me a text.
Yeah.
But
yeah, everyone's
Ketra's
like, this is a trap.
Well, and yeah, because Ketra's like, are you just gonna let her go? This is obviously a trap.
And you could go on some kind of, like, romantic bodyguard date. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like,
he doesn't actually say that.
He doesn't, but it's implied.
And
because everyone knows that these two, like, have a thing except Hiro.
Yeah.
Except Hiro.
Yeah.
Which is funny, because he's the one hallucinating her to get him out of the murder rage.
Yeah.
And he still can't put two and two together.
No. They...
Here's a little hint, guys. When a woman appears to you as an angel to stop you from murder raging, you're into her. Just heads up.
Yeah. Well, Hiro and Ketra then discuss why Hiro actually isn't going with her. Because he's going somewhere else. He's going to Luxembourg because the headquarters of the Trace faction is in Luxembourg.
Right. Well, and they look at this, like, for some reason they know how many mobile dolls are coming. I guess because you can see them on radar.
I mean,
or something.
It's either that or, again, because Hiro seems to be this master hacker.
That's true. That's true.
He has unlimited access to Oz systems, and he was on the computer earlier.
He was. It's true. So and they are presented as like files
because he shows it to Ketra. He's the one who shows it to Ketra, so presumably that's what he was digging up.
And they're like, "Wow, that's so many mobile dolls."
Well, yeah, Ketra's like. Nobody could stand against that many mobile dolls.
Not even Luxembourg.
Yeah, not even Luxembourg could stand against. And I'm like, we were both kind of like taken aback at that because we're like, is Luxembourg like a military powerhouse?
Well, so again, it's the headquarters of the Trace faction. We can presume it's been fortified.
Yeah,
but it is still a very like out of nowhere line.
Yeah. It's a slightly out of pocket statement.
Yeah, it is. Funny though.
Oh yeah, it's one of my favorite lines now. Even Luxembourg wouldn't stand a chance.
My favorite line still remains, "It's your country. You can do what you want."
Yeah, there's
some good dialogue in this show.
Yeah.
In this episode in particular.
Yeah. And then Relena meets the Romefeller Foundation.
Right, it turns out it's a legit meeting. It's not about what they said it was about, but they really do want to meet with her.
Because their new plan to deal with Relena is to, now that they know she's got, a defense force.
Right, is to, like, shame her?
It's to discredit her in the eyes of the global community.
Yes, correct. Which, again, this would make sense if she was wielding massive amounts of soft power, because that's how you lose soft power, is when you're discredited in the eyes of like the diplomatic community. It all makes sense if she just owns all the banks.
Yeah, or some similar thing.
Right, or controls the internet. She has all the internet server blades. Who knows?
And
that's why Hiro can do all that hacking.
The weapon they are using for this particular task is footage of
the convoy being destroyed.
Yeah, by Zex, and they're saying this guy claims to be Miliardo Peacecraft.
Right,
the ambassador of the Saint Kingdom.
Right, and their assertion is your kingdom has like aggressive aims because you're attacking our convoys. Mm-hmm. Right, and
directly interfering with our military industrial complex.
Right. Like clearly, you're not just a pacifist neutral kingdom. You have an aggressive arm, and it's right there. I mean, Relena, stone cold bitch that she is like, that's not Miliardo Peacecraft. I don't know him. Like,
well, because she says something along the lines.
She says something like, "Is he actually at any point identified as Miliardo Peacecraft?" And they're like, "Well, no."
And she's like, well, then I guess it's not Miliardo Peacecraft, is it?
Yeah, because I see Zex Marquis on that screen, and he's one of yours.
Basically. And they're like, and Duke Dermail's literally like, shit, she got us.
Yeah, Duke Dermail is legitimately like, I have to take that.
And I don't like it.
Right. Which, again, this is why she must hold something over them, because Duke Dermail is not a man who would take that if he didn't have to.
Right. Correct. Promptly after that...
Yeah, she leaves. She's like, alright, I'm out. This is what this meeting was about. Great. Screw you guys. Goodbye.
It should also be noted that Dorothy continues to be, like, ominously
evil. Oh, yeah, because she introduces Relena and then, like, is like, I will now take my leave, and then walks outside and closes the door and, like, monologues to herself evilly. She's like, yes, let's see what you can do with this, Relena.
Yeah, let us see what your plan of action is now, Relena Peacecraft.
It is this very, like, I am going to destroy my romantic rival with, like, advanced geopolitics. And it's like, that's a move. Yeah. All right.
But then her reaction after Relena pulls her thing off is like, very much, I still don't know which of the main cast you have a crush on, Dorothy.
Right. Because after she sees what happens, she's like, well played, Relena. Like, the chess pieces are moving. And it's like, what? What is going on?
You'll have to get used to that with Dorothy. That's the only way she knows how to communicate.
It really is. Relena is like, me and my fancy outfit are leaving. And they go. And then notably, Pagan has picked her up in the car because he's not an idiot. He's like, they literally have a conversation where he's like, I apologize for picking you up and you weren't expecting that. And it's like, No, it's because Pagan. It's because you know she was going to need another ride back. Because Dorothy wasn't giving her another ride.
No.
Right? And then a carrier shows up and drops 3 mobile dolls and they try to assassinate Relena.
Yeah.
And that's like the first Romefeller move that I've seen the Romefeller Foundation do.
At least against the Saint Kingdom.
At least against, specifically, sorry, they do this all the time to everybody else. But this is the first time against the Saint Kingdom that they've just tried to use their guns as guns. Like, no pretense, like, caucus belli, just, they try to assassinate her.
Yeah.
A thing that you would expect them to do more frequently. Right? Or at least have tried up to this point at least once. And they, like, nearly succeed. Because they shoot her car, not with the giant beam cannon, or her car is giant beam cannon proof. One of the... like.
Well, no, they hit... It's a near miss. And it sends the car careening into a tree.
A tree. And the car is disabled. And she, like, gets out, and it lands and points the giant cannon at her. Because, again, God forbid it actually finish her off from range. Which is funny, because if it were a human pilot, I would get it. But mobile dolls are supposed to be, like, ruthless murderers who know nothing else. Why didn't it just shoot a second time? You would think that the mobile doll would be, like, kill confirmed. And then that would be it. Right? But no, that's not what happened. It lands and points the gun at her, and then promptly takes a blast to the face itself. Because Noin and Ketra have showed up to
because they also are not stupid.
Right, because they're also not morons.
And they show up in their shining white Tauruses.
And notably, we get more of... They shoot it with a ranged blast. It doesn't work because it has the shield thing, right? And then they go in with the slow blade and they kill them in melee. Because this show is just Dune. It's just Dune. Like... The rules
Dune with mechs.
The rules for the shields are just Dune. We actually get Noin kills one with like a really cool like mech flying kick, which is pretty rad.
Noin kills the first one with a mech flying kick.
It's notably it's
Ketra like cuts 2 of them in half at once with 2 beam swords.
Yes. Well, the interesting thing about the flying kick is it's like the most agile move we've seen from any mech at any point. Because they use their swords and stuff. Yeah. And they, like, clash sabers. But it's always very, like, stiff. Right? They have these sort of very, like... But Noin can, like, grapple. And, like, again, kick a mech to death.
Yeah.
Right? In a way that, like, nobody else uses their mech. I find that curious. It has to compensate for not having a Gundam somehow.
Yeah. Look, if they put Noin in a Gundam, she'd be overpowered.
That's true. Well, look, given everything Noin has expressed up to this point regarding her philosophy, I think they should put Noin in the Zero system. She'd probably be fine.
Yeah. I'm actually super curious about how that would turn out now.
She'd be like, I have no enemies.
Fanfic writers who are listening to this.
What happens when Noin pilots the Zero system? Anyway, and then they call an ambulance for Pagan.
Yeah.
Which is so weird on so many levels. One, presumably you're still in, like... Romefeller territory. I don't think they would have waited for you to get back to the Saint Kingdom to just try their assassination. 2, you made a phone call, like, that both, tells them your location. I mean, they already kind of knew it. They sent them to assassinate you. But confirms that you're still there and that you'll be staying there and that Relena is alive, right? Because you didn't call an ambulance for her. 3, mobile suits are very fast. They have the flying ones. You'd think that could get him to the hospital faster than waiting for... Like, it's just a normal ambulance, like, on wheels. Yeah. And that happens. It's just a very odd thing for them to stand around. Because they don't leave either. It's not like they call him an ambulance and then leave and the ambulance can come get him, right? It's no, they stand around and wait for an ambulance to come pick the man up.
Yeah.
Lucky them that, like, 40 more mobile dolls didn't show up, right?
Yeah.
Well, I guess we know why that didn't happen, because they're all busy fighting Hiro Yui.
Yeah, because
we very briefly get a scene in presumably Luxembourg.
Luxembourg, yes.
Of Hiro Yui fighting like every single mobile doll at once.
Endless mobile doll.
He's waves. He's fighting.
He's doing wave mode, and he's trying to beat his high score.
And like he takes a hit to the knee, and it like cripples his mobility, which is interesting.
And it looks a little dire for him.
Yeah, he's not doing great.
He gets a message from Trey's Kushranada telling him to hang in there and not give up.
Yeah. Oh, he's back.
Trey's is back.
I mean, we see Trey's. It's funny, right? Because the show reminds us that Trey's exists.
Yeah.
Right? He doesn't actually disappear, because we get like flashbacks from him and stuff, right?
Yeah, he doesn't disappear very often. And, and when he does, it's not for long.
Right, which is funny because he's been mostly inconsequential to the plot for a really long time, despite still being in the show.
He might actually have more screen time than just about every other named character except maybe Hiro Yui.
I think he probably has less than Hiro Yui. And I think he probably has less than Zex, but that's close.
Yeah.
I was going to say he has less than Relena, because the thing about Relena is the episode she's in, she gets a lot of screen time.
Yeah, that's true.
But also, she's just not in the show for the whole space arc, right? Yeah. She just ceases to be. Same thing with, like, Noin, right? When Noin's in the show a lot, but Noin also just ceases to be in the show for long stretches of time. Same with Wu Fei. Oh, Ketra. Ketra has way more screen time than Trey's.
You're right.
Because Ketra is constantly around.
Yeah, especially now.
Right.
And that's the end of episode 33.
Sure is.
Yeah, and so we will join you again for episodes 34 and 35 next episode of Mecha Rewatch. Until then, peace.
See ya.